I believe season 10 doesn't start officially until the 10th of January. So we've got a couple of days to practice this in solo queue before it's actually like your proper ranked climb, at least anyway. You got the new set champion coming out. I don't think he's coming out in the first week. I believe it's the second week, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, set won't be a support, so we don't have to worry about that. Aphelios is getting changes. I feel like Aphelios is pretty strong anyway, and it looks like he's getting some nerfs at least anyway, so that's good. I'm probably still personally going to keep him permabanned. Aurelian Soul getting nerfed. Don't really see him much in high ELO though. We've got Azir nerfs. No, Azir buffs. Huge buff actually. The wall duration increased to 5 seconds. Might see some Azir played more mid. Corki missile damage up a bit. He won't be played as AD still. He'll probably be mid. Corki is like a really, really good late game champion. He's like Kassadin, but basically the same kind of like when you hit like 3-4 items, Infinity Edge, Rapid Fire Cannon, those kind of items, like 3-4, he basically starts one-shotting people. So this is more like siege damage when you're sieging them down to put them down on a turret. This is not going to affect his gameplay that much though. And it's only a buff from level 11 onwards. Jack's got a slight buff there, I guess it seems. That sucks, because I think like Jax is a pretty good champion at the moment. Starting to see the trend here, Siege becoming more and more buffed. Siege in general buffed. That's a decent Jace buff there as well. Callista buffed. Okay, so we might see some more Callista in our games, and at least higher ELOs, at least anyway. Don't think anyone in Plat under can really play Callista to her full potential, so it's unlikely that we're going to see much more there. But the armor growth there is pretty huge, 0.5 per level. Yeah, and I mean, that's not even including the health growth as well. Both of those things are pretty strong. Kassadin 5 movement speeds. Down, that's it, but I think it's still good for us at bot lane though. Like, he gets to roam around too much anyway. 5 doesn't sound like a lot, but it all adds up, I guess. So it means he could take like 0.5 to 1 seconds longer to gank from mid to bot lane, so gives you a little bit more extra in there. So some sort of like mana debuff border on both Kassadin and Kog'Maw now. I guess that could technically be a nerf for those champions, because you're now more aware of how, like, that might give away, for example, the Kassadin how like buffed up his ulti is. So that could be like another indirect nerf, because you might be more aware of how, if the Kassadin's been stacking up his ulti. Yeah? Not so much the Kog'Maw though. I mean, you know, I guess if you know his mana stacked up, you won't be expecting another ulti, because the cost goes up a ridiculous amount after a couple of casts. Seems like Mordekaiser's received a chunky nerf. Okay. I mean, I didn't feel like he was that bad. He's pretty much countered by QSS, like Malzahar, so I didn't really... If Mordekaiser is a problem in your games, you just build QSS and that gets you out of the ulti pretty quickly. Here's the big one of the patch that... I think this is probably the biggest change in the whole patch, apart from obviously the new champion. So E getting affected by any spell in the game. I was thinking about this, and I don't know if it happens, but things like if you were to E a Garen when he's spinning, is that one charge on your E and then it's a permaslow for AoE? If so, then there's going to be some very unique interactions with the Nami, with those type of champions that can have like mass AoE, maybe like increased duration. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Garen Spin applies on hit. It doesn't even matter if an ability applies on hit. This E will apply to any spell, regardless if it has on hit or not. So for example, you could E yourself as Nami and now W an enemy, and then that will slow them. It's going to be better to E yourself in lane, I would imagine, if you know you're going to get 3 bounce off on your W. Because not only are you getting the extra damage off, but you're also getting an extra slow onto the target as well. Like another thing as well, I don't know how that's going to have an interaction on like Ezreal's Q, for example, the abilities that do have on hit. So there's a lot of questions to this one and it's impossible to tell. This is obviously an outright buff to Nami for sure, like hands down. This is crazy, and the potential of this is like huge. But like Ezreal E, would that apply 2 charges then? Like one for the Mystic Shot and then one for the on hit? So there's a lot of like things that could happen here. So Nami Ezreal could be very strong if it uses 2 charges with 1 Mystic Shot, because if that is the case, then that's going to be mega chunk just from a early Q in lane. But yeah, Nami is going to be played a lot at the start of this, so yeah, one to keep your eye on. Definitely, I'll show you my like support tier list, but Nami is definitely at the top, like hands down. I mean, she was like very close, if not already very good in solo queue, but this is like one of the most unique things that's happened to a support in terms of a buff in some time. So yeah, it should be good. I don't see there's no downside to this at all. So yeah. Sejuani, health growth. She looks like she's gonna get buffed a bit in lane, in her jungle. I mean, sorry. So Sejuani is one of those champions that if the jungler knows how to throw out the ulti and just go straight in, it's like Zac, but almost worse because you can't. It's sometimes hard to react to it, especially from Frog of War. So yeah, we'll see where this one goes. But Sejuani is like on the cusp of being either super strong or super weak. I'm imagining after this she's going to be pretty decent to play. Shyvana getting buffed. Shyvana now gains 5 permanent bonus health, bonus magic resistance for every elemental drake and elder dragon. Cloud Drake now increases Shyvana's fury gains by 10, 20, 30, 40%. So it's a buff for Shyvana because Cloud Drake did nothing for her, right? I'm believing in that, right? Yeah, I believe so. So yeah, because her ultimate doesn't have CDR, so she wasn't getting any benefit from Cloud Drakes at all, even though she's meant to be like the one champion that focuses around dragons. So yeah, so she got buffed. It's rightly so. I don't know how much she's going to get played still, but it's a solid buff for her. Like AP Shyvana, if you got Cloud Drake on Elder, 20%-ish on Fury Generation, it's going to be pretty scary if she's fed. Oh god, Sylas. Is this nerfs or buffs? Oh gosh, there's a lot of changes here. All I know is this champion is like, in high elo, he is like, he was absolutely broken, but only because like the amount of mechanical skill you needed to play him at such a top level was insanely high. But if you were able to do it, this champion was absolutely busted. Things like you could just take Gnar ulti and not even have the wind up, for example, just have instant Gnar ult, which is better than Gnar's ult. Just like stupid things like that. It's impossible for me to go through this on this video to see if it's an actual nerf or not, but it seems like maybe early game nerf, late game buff. So it gives you a chance to shut him down early, but if he gets to late game, then he's probably going to be pretty damn annoying. I think we might be safe this patch. Yeah, looking at him closely. I don't think this is going to be enough to make him OP. I think we'll be okay. Seems like he's more meant to be better against magic resistant, magic damage dealers now. Although his armor growth got put up a bit. Yeah, it's all about like mid to late game rather than early game. So yeah, he's gonna have to play. I'm gonna wonder if he's gonna have to be played more like Fizz, like a little bit more passive early, and then try and pop off like mid game onwards. That definitely seems the direction of that. Varus Q, yeah, that was always way too long of a cooldown. When I did Varus as AD, this 20-second cooldown was insane. Yeah, this is needed. We're gonna see more Varuses in lane though for sure. Yeah, like 2 seconds knocked off is decent, like really good. So could maybe see some more Varuses in lane, although he is still pretty vulnerable to ganks. So we'll see. With things like Shyvana being Sejuani, I mean being buffed, makes this pick a little bit more risky with having no escape. But definitely you'd probably be seeing some more Varus players the first week or so to Q. There's a bit decent buff to 2 seconds. Brings it more online with things like Blitzcrank Q as well, because yeah, really way too long. The Zyra buff here as well. Doesn't look like a buff, it is, but we'll go through in a second. She's having a quality of life upgrade on her ulti. Okay, so it's a Vi buff, yeah, so once the game makes a champion like Varus harder to play because the engage is now stronger on Vi now, for example. So yeah. Zyra. Okay, so this doesn't sound like much, but it's actually huge, and it kind of means that you don't really need Rylai's anymore. So what you used to do on Zyra, it was 1Q, 1E. So 1E used to just do 30. It doesn't matter how many E plants you had up, it was always flat 30% slow. Now it goes up to 50%. 5% slow getting knocked off is kind of like a little mid, but if you're able to have like multiple seeds set up in the lane, and the main one I can think of is if you E at someone, if you try and root someone and you miss, and you know it's going to miss, what I generally do anyway is I spawn 1 or 2 rooting plants where they are, because they will always spawn where the enemy is. It's just if the root's going to land or not. So now this is going to make it so that they have an instant 50% slow. So then you can land your Q. You can wait a second there and then land your Q, like basically guaranteed Q damage. So this might make it so that actually maxing E is not worth it. Because now no matter what, you should be able to like constantly land your Qs. And Q damage is decent, especially once you get 3 points plus. So in my opinion, it might just be but 1 point in E now forever. Just use your E as either like the guaranteed route or the double plant slow, and then you land that Q basically guaranteed because they're slowed by up to they're either rooted or 50% slow. So 50% slow is like they might as well be like almost standing still. So I think Rylai's as well is definitely something that is no point. Used to have like if you're having a really bad game on Zyra, Rylai's used to be an item that you'd pick up because you were doing really badly and you wanted to like support your team more in terms of utility. But there's no point now with that buff, so you'd be better off just still going towards like the Leandries or Zhonya's, depending on the team matchup. Like if you're against a lot of assassins and doing really badly. Yeah, leveling E does increase root duration. I think it's 0.25 per seconds, but it's not worth it in my opinion now, because you're just using your E to get the slows down to land your Q. There are a couple of situations where root duration is nice. Used to be like okay with the electrocute stuff and setting it with burst with an AD character, but your Q does a decent amount of damage anyway, and your Q is easier to land than your E, for sure. So now it's even easier to land your Q. So you should be doing more DPS via Q. So you should be leveling your Q. That's my like. That's me seeing on it at least anyway. Big support item changes coming through as well. You've got they were thinking about increasing the second portion of the quest. You know, it goes to 500 and then it goes to 1,000 and then you're done. They were talking about increasing the 1,000 to 1,250 or even 1,500, but it seems like they haven't done that at all. Seems like they're just keeping the quest gold at 500 and 1,000, but just giving these items a decent buff anyway. So Relic Shield now has base health regen. The full upgrade portion of Relic Shield has 15 less AP. But let's be honest, like a lot of those tanks that took the Relic Shield anyway, didn't care about the AP really. So yeah, this is a decent tank buff. Tanks are gonna regen a little bit more in lane. It's the same with the pauldrons as well. I guess this would affect Pike slightly. I think that's like Pike and Senna are gonna get hit. I guess Senna really needs the mana regen, so it's okay for her. But Pike, in terms of the shoulder guards, that's a nerf for Pike this patch for sure because of this. He loses out on AD and gets a bit of base health regen, which he doesn't particularly need as much. So yeah, the only champion that is affected by this is Pike. I can't think of another one that... I guess maybe if you were playing Bard with Relic Shield, you will probably would rather go Stealthy's Edge now, so you don't lose out on the AP as much. No, there's still an AP hit there anyway, regardless. 45 to 25. You could probably still do Relic Shield on Bard, actually. Yeah, it's up to you if you want to play safer in the lane or not then. It's kind of the same as it was before in terms of that. Senna should be fine with this change as well. As I was talking about, she probably could actually use the mana regen. But the big one here is that Spell Thief's Edge for a lot of the enchanters are now getting mana regen. That's the big one here for free. So I was covering some of this with Fairy Charms. I think I still will buy a Fairy Charm every now and then in lane, and then set it back and just treat it like a mana potion. But this is very nice. Like 50 HP gone off, don't mind. 15 AP coming off is like, it's okay. It's a trade-off. To actually be able to cast a little bit more in lane. So this should make playing support more fun during laning phase for sure. Because personally, laning phase has felt like a chore the entire time, and it felt like I was like being screwed over from being able to do what I wanted to do in lane. It would like, I would get there and then the enemy would be like on 20% HP and they'd be like, no mana. Great. So yeah, it's a support buff. We got support's got buffed this patch. There's no support nerf apart from Pike indirectly. Nami got buffed, Zyra got buffed. So that's something to like take into mind, like when you're going to solo queue. Like your champion, well, no matter what champion playing minus Pike should feel stronger. Especially when you're going up against other ADs, because if you take, like, there's no AD item changes. There's a couple of AD buffs, like minor ones, like Varus and Aphelios got nerfed. Cogmore, nothing really happened. Callista got buffed. I think Callista's like the only one that seems like potentially scary in this list. Scarier in high elo. But no, everyone in every single ELO will have a support buff here. Nothing else has happened that dramatically to any other lane. So this is a support patch basically. We finally got some loving just as the season starts. So that's pretty important. Another thing to mention as well, I know some people are talking about Prototype on Bard. I personally haven't tried it, but Prototype has now been buffed again, and this time for ranged champions as well. So I don't know how much the effectiveness of this Omnistone has been on Bard, but if it has been legit, then it's got a bigger buff. So something to think about when you're playing Bard, maybe, if and some research required there. I'll probably investigate this week if it's legit or not. I don't want to bait you guys into something. I don't know if this is actually a thing, so try your own risk. Do your own research on it for now, and if I make a video on Bard with Omnistone, then it will probably be legit. If you don't see a video in the next 2 weeks on Bard with Omnistone, it's probably garbage. They did the full breakdown of it on Reddit. Yeah, they did. On Reddit, there was a post like last week that had someone like did some insane mathematic calculations on Dark Harvest increasing each individual keystones and stuff like that. It was insane. I couldn't be bothered to read it. And now he's gonna have to redo his maths again as well for this. Is that it? We got some chromas. We got the mecha skins coming in. Mecha Leona. I feel like Leona just got a skin. Is that it? That's the only support skin. We're getting all buffed and everything, and that's the only skin we get. But looking from the Leona skins, there's a chance that there's 8 chromas here for Leona, and it makes me wonder if one of these is going to be given away with the League Partnership Program. I don't know for sure. I haven't had any information there, but usually the one that has the most chromas has the chroma for it, but I could be wrong. And honestly, it kind of looks like a really horrible Power Ranger. Yeah, someone said it in Twitch chat as soon as I said it. Yeah, it did look like a really horrible Power Ranger. Yeah. Oh no. Looks like really low res as well. Looks like someone took it on their mobile phone. But yeah. Okay, and I did say I was going to show you my support tier list. I did make this. As you can see, Pike is now tier 3 because of those changes on the support items. I still think he's going to be okay, but that will hit his laning phase once again a little bit with the item number redistribution. You've still got some decent champions there as well. You've got the Leona Bard there that we're talking about with the Omnistone potential as well. Swain's been doing pretty well, decently in lane as well. Just bear in mind, like with the mana as well, going on a lot of champions as well, it's gonna make things really hard. I'm gonna be honest here. This tier list has been the hardest one to do because not only is it the start of the new season, but with all the support numbers, items being changed across the board, we could see some replacements here, but this is what I believe is going to be like the top 5 in solo queue. I believe that Zyra change in particular is going to be pretty big. Nami as well, really big. Nami's probably going to be the best enchanter in lane. Zyra's probably going to be the best mage in lane. I think Lux is going to be the best hybrid. I think Lux has actually been really decent, especially with the popularity of Caitlyn lately. If Varus pops off as well, then she can set up for him with easy Qs as well. Brom's really good since I think it was even the 9.24 B patch where he got mega buffed across the board, and that hasn't changed. And Soraka's a solid enchanter as well with global pressure as well. Don't get me wrong, things like Blitzcrank, you might be surprised maybe to see Blitzcrank maybe so like low down on the list, but there's just too many things that can interfere in him, like any tank support or Sivir, Morgana can just make the lane just frustrating. You do have options, a couple of these, like the Bard and the Blitzcrank and the Leona to roam, and Nautilus to roam to mid. That's why they're still pretty decent in solo queue. So don't get me wrong, like these tier 1, tier 2 should be what you should be focusing in terms of climbing in solo queue. I really wouldn't bother with anything tier 3 or under. I found it really hard to like... I felt like tier 1 and tier 2 was really hard to choose like a top 5. Honestly, like if I kind of want to like put more champions in tier 1 because I feel like there's no one here that's like outstanding at the moment, like definitely like above the rest, but I feel like this is probably the most solid 5. The tier 2, anything there is pretty decent, especially into counters like Turret, good against Nautilus or against some tanks. But yeah, tier 3, I really wouldn't bother. Like Vel'Koz too squishy, really. Like, and the Zyra's been having a tough time as well. But we could, as I said before, see some adjustments in terms of, you know, the mana regen coming into play a little bit more. But yeah, just stick with these top 2 for sure. Yeah, hope this tier list helps you out. This will be onto YouTube for Thursday evening at 9 o'clock UK time. Thursday? No, Wednesday evening at 9 o'clock UK time. And if you did miss it or miss some of it. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll do another tier list in 2 weeks' time, and after we play some solo queue to try and... I don't know if much will change. It depends. I guess it depends on the actual patch itself, right? But I think this is generally your best selection at the moment. So yeah, good.